Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Castaway Anime. I'm your host, Crunchy Bagels.
And I'm Neon Manta.
And it is now 2020, Part 4, Revenge of the Sith. New year, new podcast, and I'm sure you're all just dying to know what we have in store in 2023. So, I'd like to start this episode with an announcement in regards to the future of this podcast. I forgot.
It's canceled.
We're talking about Bocchi today.
Get your mouth off that cock. It's Bocchi the Rock. We're gonna be covering the second half of the anime today, and if you want to see us cover more kinography like Bocchi, go ahead and like the podcast, subscribe to the channel, head on down into the comments, let us know what you thought of Bocchi the Rock and other shows, anything you want to hear us cover on the Castaway Anime Podcast.
でも私確信したんだ。ぼっちちゃんがいたら夢を叶えられるって。だからこれからもたくさん見せてね。ぼっちちゃんのロック。ぼっちザロックを。
So, peak, kinography, goated.
Goat.
Other synonyms.
Yeah.
Heat.
Yeah, it is astounding how much Bocchi has come out swinging and has exploded into the anime community.
It's really, really good. So in the first podcast, I wouldn't even say the dissenting opinion because I did like it. Watching these final 5 episodes was like so much better. I guess I'll provide this context. I mean, I know it's gay and personal and whatever, but like I was in a depressive episode when I watched the first 2 through 7. And so although it was still fun and made my day a little better, I was still disappointed because it's like, oh well, my brain is physically incapable of feeling joy right now, and so I am like mildly entertained.
You have let
but
outside
not much
influences affect your opinion on the show and have made yourself
more.
biased.
I was trying to do that, Neon. But no, I watched the final 5 episodes. In major contrast, when I was in a very good mood, and this was just put me in an even better mood because it's so funny. It's just so funny. It's been ages since I've seen a show that's this consistently funny. And it's like the characters all got unlocked for me in a way that I just couldn't get into them before. Literally after one episode I was like, I love them all suddenly.
They're all great, and it's I was thinking about this as I was watching it. Like, at first I was thinking, man, this show is effortlessly funny. But then, like, I thought about that sentence, and I was like, well, hold on, that would imply that like they are funny without trying. When that's not the case, they're trying like their hardest. It's just that they are trying to make me laugh and like their hardest with all these creative animation cuts and mixed media effects, and it's working. It's working fucking wonders.
I'm trying to remember the last time I laughed this consistently at a show, because this is like Nichijou tier laughs in the final half of this block.
The show has approached
Kaguya tier laughs.
Yeah. I was gonna say the show has now approached Kaguya and Konosuba tier level jokes.
Azumanga Daioh tier laughs. I know you haven't seen that one, but I've seen it, and it's like one of the funniest shows I've seen. And it is like in that upper echelon of comedy of I just can't stop laughing. Although, Neon, I know I've been very unabashedly praising this show, but I do have to hit you with the disappointment hammer. I have to hit the dark blue, depressing blue disappointment button for you. Urusei Yatsura is still kind of better.
It's just not though. You're telling me Urusei Yatsura is funnier, more heartfelt.
It's not funnier. It's not funnier. I'll give you that much.
Is it more heartfelt?
Bocchi's
more
definitely
emotional?
I mean, episode 10, I thought that was pretty emotional, but episode 8 of Bocchi did get more out of me. I'm gonna be real with you, but nah, I just
Alright,
like
so
the
then-
characters in Urusei Yatsura more. I just love them.
There is no way there is a single character in Urusei Yatsura that is just better than Bocchi.
I mean, there kinda is.
Impossible. I refuse to believe it.
Lum and Atsuru's dynamic is like so infinitely engaging to me. That
Okay,
yeah,
but
I'd
wait. What if they made Kita and Bocchi gay?
well, then I'd have no choice but to give Bocchi a 10 out of 10. You know, then now that's a different story.
Because I feel like they're teasing us a little something, and we've already established
Are
the precedent that Kita is gay. I don't know.
Well, yeah, we've established that much, but she's
I don't
gay
know,
for Rio, though.
Yeah, she's gay for Rio, but there's been a couple times where in the like near the last couple episodes of the show where Kita like is about to say something and then like cuts herself off when she's about to like, I don't know, like compliment Bocchi about something. I'm like, now why would they go and do something like that? Why would they explicitly like have her about to say something to Bocchi but then be like, no, never mind?
Weirdly enough, you were saying that Bocchi is like the ultimate character of this show. I'm kind of feeling it for Rio and Kita now. I
mean,
didn't expect. I know the entire cast is great, but I love Kita. Kita has become my favorite character. Either Kita or Rio, but I think I'm leaning towards Kita right now.
I mean, they're all fucking great. Rio is just the meme lord that you are to forfeit all of your mortal possessions to.
Yeah, one of my friends, Civ, keeps talking about how he wants to wife Rio, and after watching this block of episodes, I get it.
See, the dangers of wifing Rio is that if you ever get into a divorce, she's gonna do everything in her power to take all your money.
She will leech off of you. You just have to be okay with
She'll
that.
take all of your money, but leave the kids with you.
Exactly. So I guess we can start with episode 8, because I know it's kind of pointless to do this all in chronological order, but I want to start with episode 8 because it's so unbelievably good.
Yeah, we'll like bounce back and forth to however we want, but episode 8 is this was the episode that people like this is the first time I saw Bocchi trend on Twitter, and this is the show that's like, bro, you gotta watch Bocchi the Rock. Like I saw people with the cyber psycho Bocchi clip, which has become legendary now, is what like turned people's heads, but like this was the episode that made the statements like, bro, you gotta hop on Bocchi the Rock now.
I think this might be my favorite concert scene in fiction, because I've said before that I don't like concert scenes. I have very bad memories of them, because in every show, right, it's the whole, oh, they play the song and then everyone likes them over and over again. Oftentimes, at the beginning of all the idol shows, it's like, oh, they're watching the concert and they get inspired to start their own concert. And I'm like, stop it. No. I already know what's gonna... I've seen the same scene like 50 times. I haven't seen this scene before. Because Bocchi asks the question, what if concert, but then you, like, fail at it, kind of?
Yeah, what if you like practice really hard, but you're not all of a sudden perfect this one time?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense too, because this is Nijika's older sister's like place where like ostensibly professional-ish musicians play, people who are like doing this as a job or are trying to make it their career. So of course the audience is going to have higher expectations than, let's say, at a school where, you know, everyone's just going to cheer for you regardless unless you really bomb. This is
Yeah,
like a place where
you have to
jaded
pay
music
to
critics
get in.
come.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a place for people who have listened to too much music and who are incredibly discerning with their taste.
The
You
people
are
who've
not
got
going to wow them.
128 followers on their MySpace music blog, on their Bandcamp, on their SoundCloud, and they're leaving the most scathing reviews of their favorite local bands.
So they start off playing at the beginning of the episode, and it's like, so it starts off right. This is like seared into my memory. The people in the audience, there's like these two girls just talking to each other, and they're like, there's like this nothing bands that we don't care about playing first. They're called Kesoku Band. Who cares about them? And so they're looking down.
Nuts.
They're looking down at their phone, and I was like, okay, so they're, you know, I was doing the 5 head predictions, right? Oh, they're looking at their phones, but they're gonna be looking up once Kesoku Band starts playing. And then they start playing, and Bocchi, you know, remarks in her head, oh, like, Nijika's offbeat, and, you know, Ryo's not as confident as she usually is, and Kita's messing up the vocals a little bit. She sounds a little nervous. And Bocchi's saying all that in her head, and I'm like, okay, so this is the part where the audience just doesn't care and like cheers them on anyway, because they're like endeared by how real they sound. And then it cuts to them still looking at their phones, and I'm like, wait, hold on. I feel us going into a bit of a different direction than what I'm used to. And by the end of the song, they're just still looking at their phones, like, well, that was a fucking disappointment.
Bro, they were like, those two girls in the back were calling like, what a waste of time. They were fucking cringe.
And it's like, God, it's such a palpable moment. And I feel like it's something that could only really exist in the anime medium in the way it is, because you get to sit there and listen to the song bit by bit and have that slow tension build of like, okay, when are they going to like it? When are they going to like it? Oh, never. They're never going to like it. They just think it's they're like, oh, you did a bad job. We don't really care that much. Literally, like Bocchi's fans that she got with Hiroi are like nervously staring at them because they know they you know, they're pretentious hipster music nerds
the whole
too.
Time?
And they're like nervously staring up, like, oh no, they're doing a bad job. Wait, no, you gotta pull yourselves together.
But
then
they're able to turn it around with the second performance when Bocchi takes the fucking lead in an awesome opening guitar riff, and that gets people's heads turning like, oh, well, yo, goddamn, hey, yo, this bit kinda good.
It is astonishing how Bocchi's musical expertise and all those years of practicing, you know, finally pay off in this big way of her being able to essentially lead the band into this new song. And by the way, it is like such a banger song. That in the Hiroi song, I want to like put on my playlist because they're both bangers.
I got some bad news for you. I don't know if like they just haven't made it available yet, or they just did not bother with it. The Hiroi's band song from their band Sick Hack, it's not available for purchase or like to get anywhere.
What?
Literally every other song from the Kesoku Band is and like the show soundtrack from the endings to the opening to all the songs that they play within the show are available to listen to on streaming services and where you buy your music.
This is fucking piss.
But not that one. No, not the most fuckable character in the show, and not just because she's of age.
So
world is a fuck.
Yeah, it's just a really banger scene. And the rest of the band gets all inspired because Bocchi's leading them into this new performance. They're like, oh, we need to play. You know, they've got like this confident guitar now that they can sort of follow along with, instead of the sort of like iffy performance they did before where they were all kind of nervous and getting the rust off. It's a really touching moment, and it's like, I love how it's not even that it's an absolute bomb or that it's an absolute win. It's they had the typhoon, which is, just Bocchi being cynical old Bocchi. And then, they sort of mess up the first song and then, sort of redeem themselves in the later half. And it's like, that feels... At first, I was almost, like, a little disappointed that they didn't go the full cynic route and be like, okay, they actually, like, completely bombed. But around halfway through the song, I was like, first of all, this song's a banger. And second of all, it kind of lends the show a certain sense of realism. Of, like, they don't completely fail, they don't completely win. They just have a pretty good first performance.
Yeah, I did not check anywhere to confirm this. I just thought I had heard it in the performance, but the second song that they play where Bocchi does that awesome guitar solo, that band, I feel like it has riffs from the opening song Seishun Complex. Cause I could have sworn I heard some of the da 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 like in that song.
Now that you pointed out, I am getting like vague memories of thinking that, but I haven't checked. So
if true, fucking sick.
So we've got the concert scene out of the way. Is there anything you're jumping to talk about right now? Chomping at the bit to discuss? Because I know you're a huge fan of this show, even more so than I am.
Yeah, we can still talk about episode 8 because there's still some Bocchi Kino that we got to go over. They all go out for
a lot of kinography.
They all go out for drinks and dinner after the concert. But by the way, like just a quick aside as like a follow up to what I've said in the last podcast about the Starry Club and a similar location close by me called the Geek Easy. They also do open band nights where they like have local they have concerts for local bands in the area. And now like watching this show and this episode, it makes me want to go like check them out even more, cuz like I want to be a part of that fucking scene now.
I can see how the inspiration struck you. If I had a Geek Easy nearby, I would totally do that.
Yeah, a fucking anime video game themed bar nearby that hosted local bands like electronic and rock bands. That's fucking sick. You can get a drink while you listen to some bands you never heard of. Maybe discover a new favorite local band and become that asshole who's like, yeah, I knew them before they were mainstream.
You can be just as pretentious as the music nerds in that audience.
I will become the music nerd. So going further into this episode, as they're all going out for drinks, like just so many fucking great moments. We find out Rio is a fan of Kikuri. I can't fucking say her name. Kikuri's band, and she once like, straight up says, "I'll never forget the time you stepped on my face at that concert." While you flipped off the fans, spat booze onto them, and then called them motherfuckers. And I'm like, why isn't she my wife yet?
There's this amazing visualization of Bocchi being played all across the Game of Life board as all sorts of horrible things happen, and all I could remember, like, the one thing overwhelmingly in my mind was the Shafrillis jingle Disappointment in the Game of Life from, I think it's like Robot Chicken or something like that.
Oh yeah, he plays that at the beginning of all his ranking videos whenever he talks about the worst thing.
Another darkly hilarious moment is when, they're having the fun conversation in the bar.
And then out of fucking nowhere,
it cuts to this guy who's like on the verge of suicide, talking to his friend about how his wife is probably cheating on him. And about how he works late every night at a black company.
And only Bocchi picks up on this, like the antisocial like weirdo that she is, and she's like overhearing this pair like drunk adults talking at the bar, talking about like shit that's way too real for the like even for this show, for the goofy antics that go on in this show. And then it suddenly gets Bocchi. This starts an arc for Bocchi. This like becomes a recurring theme that lasts throughout the rest of the season, where she's like she's so desperately doesn't want to like work the life of a job that she hates, or like a normal job that isn't music related, and is like represented with her like going through that live action Game of Life board that they made, that prop. Another shot of her like trapped, like locked away as a NEET in her room as an adult, just becoming a shut-in drunk, and then all followed up with a Bocchi jump scare.
Her explicit goal, as we found out by the end of the episode, is that she wants to turn music into her career, and become the biggest band in the world.
She
And
wants
also
to drop
drop
out of high school. What
Yeah.
based fucking Bocchi.
Absolutely based.
I
This is the
I-
episode where I started liking Nishika.
Yeah, wait, before that, I just want to throw in this one thing real quick about how I swear to God they threw in this line for me. Bocchi has this line right before the drunk adults come in, where she's having fun with her friends, like even though she's not old enough to drink yet, they're just drinking like soft drinks and eating food with her friends. And then she has this line where she says is thinking about growing up and how fun it'll be, how fun it would be to hang out with them and actually drink. And the fact that like she's looking forward to that and imagining that, being like, oh man, this is gonna like I wonder how much fun we'll have when we're able to drink the good stuff, the good shit. Like it's you don't often hear an anime like character, let alone a teenage girl character, just think about, oh man, isn't it like, wouldn't it be so much fun if we just got fucking wasted at the bar together? And
You
it's
know,
like
Bocchi wasn't literally me until that line.
she like they threw that in for me because as someone who has like just recently, well, recently as in fucking a year and a half ago, became of drinking age and is like going out with a drink with the boys and like drinking with the boys is a fun time. So for them to be, and I was like, around her age, I was wondering the same thing. And then like here it is, like this show sees me, man. It sees me in more ways than just this that we'll get to.
So last podcast I was talking about how I wasn't a huge Nishika fan. And to be fair, yeah, she's my least favorite character in the show still. But this episode was the one where it was like, oh, now I'm endeared to her. Now I like her all of a sudden. Because we get her backstory. We learn so basically in the first block of episodes, we were getting hyped up this dream that she had deep down. This true dream or whatever, and we were, getting implications that, oh, this is something like super deep and meaningful and probably, a little bit traumatic or sad. And we finally get that backstory. And yeah, let's just say Guts couldn't handle this backstory. Nishika went through some stuff. So Nishika's mom died and her sister sort of became her surrogate mom. And Nishika is the reason, by the way, that her older sister quit being in that band and instead started
The
whatever.
club.
Yeah, basically a club that also serves as a restaurant, because she saw Nishika really enjoyed listening to all these bands. And so she was like, okay, I'll just make a place where I can just have all the bands come together and play for Nishika. And it's like, first of all, adorable. And second of all, kind of heartbreaking, because it's like, oh, imagine growing up knowing that you were the reason that your sister couldn't follow her dream, or rather decided not to follow her dreams of being in a band. And instead, it came up with this new dream for you. And I imagine there has to be some level of guilt involved in that, even if it isn't her fault.
I imagine, like, because obviously, Seika does not blame Nichika at all, or like put any sort of guilt on her. Like, it was her choice to quit her band to make the Starry Club for Nijika, but it's sweet to see Nijika be like, yeah, I even though she'll never admit it, I kind of feel deep down that like that is the reason why she quit and made the club. So my dream in return is to make the be a part of the greatest band in Japan, so we can turn Starry into the greatest club in all of Japan.
She's basically going to become a big old band and live the life that her sister basically sacrificed in order to make her happy. And it's like, that backstory just felt so real, and also it's just an interesting relationship Nijika has with her sister, and I really want to learn more about it over the course of the show.
I feel like
see how these people see how they be.
Like the best aspect of the show, like overall, I'd say, is its ability to balance its comedy with its like with genuine heartfelt moments like this. Because like you'd think it would just be with how off the wall, zany, and out there the presentation of the comedy is, you'd think it'd just be, you know, laughs 24/7 with barely any time for like big emotional plot moments. But no, this one is like very poignant, very resonant, and like it's real sweet. Excuse me, when she opens the conversation with, "Hey, Bocchi, you're Guitar Hero, ain't you?" And it took me a while, but I figured it out once like I realized you have the same guitar, and I forget the other reasons, but like that one was one of the biggest giveaways. Or like, no, your style of
Mostly
playing
her
is similar.
skills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that line had me pogging IRL.
yeah,
My jaw was on the floor for that one. I was like, oh, I did not expect that coming so soon.
And it's real cute how she's like, oh, and it's like, no, it makes me even happier that you're a part of my band because I got the Guitar Hero on my band. That's fucking sick, yo.
And Bocchi in response is like, oh, but I don't feel like a hero most of the time. And it's like, Bocchi, you're my hero, Bocchi. I don't know, probably. I'd probably say that to her.
And then she drops the line, the most famous line in the whole show. She goes, Bocchi, with you, I didn't think, there was a part of me that thought my dream maybe was impossible to reach. But with you as a part of our band, I feel like my dream is finally within reach. So come on, Bocchi, show us all how you rock. Bocchi the Rock, and then the credits rolled. And I applauded. I stood. I cheered. I cried. I came a little.
It's literally, they did it's Morbin time. They did the title drop.
Bocchi like went back into the club and it was like, stand back, I'm about to boach, and boached all over the place. And it was anime of the year every year for 5 years in a row.
See, maybe, you know, like a year ago, I would have been like legitimately awestruck by that line. But now that I've seen all the Morbin memes, I just burst out laughing. The internet truly has.
We were the Bocchi the Rock that we made along the way.
God, now I want an actual comedy anime to just have an entire comedy segment where all they do is randomly title drop it. Actually, you know what? Screw it. I'm a writer. I can write that scene. What am I saying? I literally write novels. I can just make that scene. This truly was
our Parks and Recreation.
Oh God! At the end of damn, we truly did have no game and no life as well.
This truly was
March.
Kaguya-sama Love is War.
March truly did come in like a lion.
I guess life really is strange. And that's the end of the Kino episode, and then it's just a bunch of fun stuff all throughout. This is a fun show.
Yeah, that's like the big emotional heavy hitter, and I'm very glad I got to start off with that for this block of episodes. The rest of it is hilarious though, and that's what makes it so fun on the moment to moment. And also just it's what gradually made me love Kita and Ryo more and more, as I just even in episode 9, literally the next episode, Ryo's talking about how, or rather Nishika's explaining how Ryo crams everything the night before, and then literally the next day, like as soon as the tests are over, just forgets what she studied. And I'm like, it's literally me. I am watching me. That is, I don't remember anything I learned in high school.
Studying makes me forget how to play the bass. There's only so much room for knowledge in my brain, and bass playing takes up a majority of it. I love when Nijika rattles Ryo's head, and her brain is canonically. This isn't just a joke that they play in the show. It's canonically so small that it does make an audible rattling sound in her head. And this like terrifies Kita, being like, "No, you're tainting the image of my goddess woman." I will actively choose to just delete this conversation from my memory.
On the note of canon, I've had conversations with my friends about Bocchi the Rock now, and apparently episode 7, when Bocchi dies, is canon. That did happen. That literally happened in the show, according to the mangaka. And she just got revived the next day. This show's canon is insane. Bocchi lore goes deep. I want to see the
that was the
Bocchi
Ganon
iceberg.
defeats Link timeline.
Yeah, I want to see the Bocchi iceberg. That gets deep. How many times has Bocchi been reincarnated?
I mean,
get on it, game theory.
She's had her face canonically melts off, and the girls that have grown to carry sandpaper on them just so they can like readjust her face after her bits and pieces fall off of it.
It's literally like the logic of the universe is basically the same logic that Nichicho runs on, where yeah, it's ordinary life and society basically runs as normal, but also you can just randomly have insane psycho stuff happen to you.
Yeah, you can just pull out a rocket launcher and blow a motherfucker to Kingdom Come, and they'll be fine.
Yeah, you can just bring that to school and nobody will care. That's literally the logic Bocchi runs on.
Yeah, I love all the fucking the anime references, the fucking Omedeto Evangelion reference with her imaginary friends, the recreation of the famous Ashita no Joe panel of Joe like unconscious in the corner of the ring with all like the blue lighting. And she's like that because she's like, that was after the concert, and she's like so emotionally spent from being like the center of attention that she's like, I have now become a husk.
See, I don't pick up on these anime references because they're all things I haven't seen.
Yeah, I didn't realize that when Bocchi ran away from Kita the first time, that was actually a Fooly Cooly reference I found out.
How many references does this have? There's the one image of, I think it's from Dragon Ball Z, so
it's exactly from Dragon Ball Z. It's the Yamcha crater.
And Bocchi's just saying, I'm remembering the context now, and I can't hold in the laughter because it's like a bunch of birds from the sky start attacking her, and they make a crater, and it's all canon.
Yeah, first they steal her ice cream, and you just think, oh, that's like poor Bocchi, just down on her luck, like so easy to be picked on by the world. And then it's like they double down on it. It's like, no, we're not just gonna steal your ice cream, Bocchi. We're gonna fucking attack you and beat the shit out of you. And because
they're the geese from regular show.
Yeah,
they literally are.
The inner monologue of these birds are specifically like, hey, like she looks weak and like that's pissing me off. And she's such a beta femme bitch that she just gets owned by these birds and is powerless to fight back against them. And so she gets like beat up by these birds so hard she gets turned into Yamcha Dragon Ball.
I love how the show in this final block leans so heavy into Bocchi doing stuff like just completely spacing out, losing her mind, going into fucking trances and just completely losing it, passing out while standing up.
Like we talked about a number of like laugh out loud moments in this show and how it's like kind of I can't tell whether it's like starting meme. Well, it's doing both. It's both like starting its own meme culture and also like embracing outer meme culture, like like from the outside world into the show. Bro, episode 8, not 8, episode 9 literally starts with the fucking Shinji Evangelion, I'm gonna live my summer to the fullest. Sleep, sleep. What a great summer meme.
It
like
literally
almost
is.
beat for beat.
And then afterwards, she just turns into complete despair. So much so that she just sits outside Starry, making cicada graves all morning. And Nijika's older sister is like, could you, like, do something about that?
And like, bro, like instead of calling her friends to hang out over the summer, and when she could be doing literally anything productive, instead she pulls out her phone and watches YouTube videos about like topics she had no prior interest in, like the theory of relativity and black holes. And she's like, damn, this is like, well, no, she doesn't even go, this is kind of interesting. She just like watches it with like the most blank of expressions on her face. And I'm like, you can't do this to me. She just like me for real. She's literally me.
I've done that so often. Just like me for real. But while we're on the topic of
Zoomers when they're forced to eat without YouTube.
Oh god, you showed me that. It's too true. I felt called out by that. But since we're talking about the funniest things in this show, right? So I must ask, the one where Bocchi literally degrades into like a low-res 3D model, is that still the funniest part of the show in your opinion? Because there's one scene that I want to recount this scene because it made me die laughing so hard.
There's so many to fucking pick from. I think okay, I'm gonna be biased in my answer and say that is the funniest scene, if only because of the meme that I made after it and how it's one of my most popular posts on both Twitter and Reddit. It made the rounds on the Bocchi subreddit, and it's one of my favorite things I've ever made, and I'm very proud of it.
I love how in whatever 3D software they're using, they just leave in
it has to be like Maya or 3ds Max or some shit like that.
I mean, I don't know anything about 3D software. I could not name a single one. Actually, wait, no, I can name Blender. If it's not Blender, I don't know what it is. But the little... I don't even know what it's for, just, like, but an artifact...
Put in a T-posing Bocchi, and just have her fucking, like, slide the model, and, like, drag her into just a fucking pile of, like, physics engine blocks.
And there's, like, I don't even know what to call it, but it's, like, an artifact from it just being a recording of a 3D model software, showing her, like, X and Y and
yeah, the XY axis that's in the corner just to complete the image.
It's like these people are shitposting in their anime, and it's god tier.
They're doing like what Pop Team Epic does, but like in a narrative show. Like Pop Team Epic is just one big
pretty
shitpost.
Much.
This show is both a narrative like show that you watch along episode by episode, but also can be a massive shitpost when it wants to.
I mean, if I really wanted to annoy you, I could call it Pop Team Epic, but funny.
You can't. How dare you?
So what I would consider to be the funniest scene in this show is when, to set the stage, if you will, Bocchi has she's basically doing the cultural festival, and her class is doing a maid and butler cafe. Obviously, Bocchi ain't into that, but, you know, Rio and Nishika and Kita eventually drag her back to the classroom after she runs away, which is a series of jokes unto itself that I'm sure we'll get into some later, but for now, they drag her back into the classroom, and, you know, Bocchi's sitting outside, and then... As it turns out, you know, the gang's all proud of her for standing outside, like, you know, like the brave girl she is. And Ishika's like, oh, is it, you know, because she has so much experience with customer service working at Starry? And Rio's like, no, she's passed out while standing up. But then As if that
out of
wasn't
fucking
enough.
nowhere.
Oh,
Two
I need to quote
fucking
this. Rio,
Fist of the
the
North
exact
Star
line.
extras.
Rio's exact line is, "Oh hey, it's two Mad Max rejects." And they walk up to Bocchi, and their whole thing is that they're trying to basically be as intimidating as possible. So they're like, yo, girl, wanna have some fun? Just like staring at her intimidating like. But because Bocchi has passed out on the spot, is drooling, and is just standing there making weird noises with the dumbest expression on her face. You know, she just stands there completely oblivious to the situation. They're like, oh my god, she's staring us down with that such an unnatural expression on herself. She's intimidating us right back. And they keep on trying to intimidate her. She just stays passed out. And they eventually koto to her out of sheer respect for how they managed to stand up to them. What a god tier scene. That is a 10 out of 10. That is...
It was good.
I
I
could not
think,
stop laughing.
like, even more out of place than the fucking, like, sad drunk guys from the bar. These two Fist of the North Star background characters just, like, show up out of nowhere. They're like they're not even established to be like a part of another like theme club thing from the cultural festival or whatever. They're just like there. They come up literally out of nowhere and they hit on Bocchi and like she's just immune.
And they keep on recurring through the episode as background characters. They're there for their concert in episode 12.
It's like, you know what? We're for the sake of like keeping the podcast like segmented and properly categorized. Let's go over the rest of the jokes that we just thought were fucking hilarious because there's a lot to fill this time with.
All right, I guess we can take turns like we did the first time. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, let me go first. Bocchi exploding when confronted by bros at the beach.
That was great. Now everyone
that's also canon. They acknowledge that she exploded, and they're running away with her deflated her deflated body.
And then the three beach bros are just doing this weird circle in the background as the Bocchi girls are running away.
While they're all going, "Hey, hey, hey!" I don't understand why they're doing it, and it makes it all the funnier.
I feel like I've seen that in a show before, but I don't know where.
I'm sure it's yet another reference to something.
Pretty much everything with Kitara I thought was amazing because, well, first of all, Kita has become my favorite character because she's just such a ray of sunshine. But second of all, it's like I can see myself using that just as a way to describe people who are very cheerful. Oh, hey, you have a Kitara. And literally every single time it comes up, it's like the entire screen just goes pure rainbows. Like at one point, the background while she has the Kitara up is like the background from the Eizouken OP, except rainbows. I'm not sure what. It's like a very specific thing they're doing to make it look like that the Eizouken OP also did. I'm not sure what it is, but nonetheless, made it very funny.
I love Rio, like, so desperate not to walk up the stairs to the shrine, then wanting to pay for the escalator ride, that she just, like, instead of, like, I don't have money, can I pay you in bass guitars? How many do you want? 1, 2, you want 3? I'll pay it, bitch! Just don't make me walk the stairs.
At the beginning of episode 10, this isn't even a joke, but I just appreciate it, how after Bocchi has, like, fallen asleep in class and, you know, has woken up from her dream, she has to wipe the drool off of her desk. They animated
I
that.
noticed that. That's so cute. Speaking of that scene, that is also one of the funniest scenes in the entire show to me, because I was laughing out loud during this one, too. I like how, like, she wakes up, she's like realizing that, oh, we're talking about the cultural festival and we're doing like signups for stuff, and then they're like, hey, if you want to do a performance for like our concert segment, you know, to go ahead and fill out a form at this classroom in this box. And then she's like, Oh man, I used to have dreams of performing in on the concert in middle school, and I never did it, but daydreamed about it 1,000 times in my head. So that is pretty much the same thing, right? And
Absolutely, Kino
and
scene.
and then she's like, even if I wanted to, I don't have time to do it now because my band ain't some, kiddie thing. We're not just playing, school concerts at cultural festivals. We're playing at real clubs. We're doing real gigs. We're making real money. My band is serious. We're not about fun and games. And while immediately after she says this, the girl sitting in front of her in class is like, oh man, if a band played at the cultural festival, they'd be just the coolest. Match cut to Bocchi standing in front of the box with the filled out paper for the band application in her hand, about to drop it in the box, and then like snapping back to reality, being like, wait, how the fuck did I get here? What am I holding in my hand? Kisoku band? Who filled this out? Wait a minute, I filled this out.
I love how it's just canon that Bocchi will randomly like lose herself in a trance and not even know what she's doing.
And she's such a fucking attention whore, despite like that's the funniest tragedy about Bocchi. She wants to be the center of attention, but lacks all of the social skills and basic like social she is socially inept. She has no aptitude to being able to even carry a conversation that is not about music.
From the same episode, this had me dying. I rewatched it like 3 times when Bocchi's describing in her head what Kita will do if she realizes that Bocchi considered putting in an application to play at the cultural festival. And there's like this spinning 2D image of Kita flying around, and it like menacingly approaches the camera with the most gleeful grin.
I know this is from like the prior block of episodes, but I love how the flashback of like when she thinks of like all the things she could say to Kikuri the first time she met her, and like how like, what, you call yourself a guitarist? You disrespect the guitar. And then she imagines her smashing it on the ground, and like she lets out this hilarious shriek. It's just so many. They use the fucking blomp sound effect.
Oh yeah, that's such a good clip.
I miss my sister. I want my sis. I want my big sis.
I love how Ryo. This entire interaction is so good. So Nijika is it basically punishing Ryo for mooching off of Bocchi so much. So she's like, "You're not gonna eat today. I know you don't have any money to pay for it, but I don't care. You're not borrowing money from anyone." And then Ryo's like, "Please, can I have a French fry?" And Nijika gives her a single French fry. And then Ryo just starts blatantly manipulating Nijika to give her more.
This
like,
is the
thank
greatest
you
gift
so
you've
much
ever
for
given me. I love you, Nijika. You've
so
always been
good.
my truest of friend.
God, I just need a blue-haired anime girlfriend who will blatantly manipulate me in front of others.
I need a blue-haired girl boss to gaslight me.
Exactly.
In episode 10, when Bocchi, after like fainting before she turned in the band application, and is like, hey, I wonder, maybe like, what do people have to say about like past band performances at the cultural festival? I'm sure it's like, things that I'm expecting, run-of-the-mill responses. And then she like gets blown away by the positive feedback that the students and like the positive feelings given off by the band, and like the kind of energy that the performers give off. And it's not that she's just like blown away by it from her screen. No, their words literally form into Japanese characters and the Japanese alphabet and the language, and beat the shit out of her. She's like rapid fire punches her across her face, and her face like physically recoils and like gets jerked around from getting punched by these words, like bush, 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 bush.
This is another entire interaction that just that's just so good. So at the beginning of episode 11, Bocchi has ran away from her maid duties, and Nishika and Co have to get her back. I was talking about this earlier. And Kita, she's had a few experiences with Bocchi, so she starts describing what kinds of places a Bocchi would hide in.
Like a
So
Japanese reality show.
Yeah, there's like... it's just pictures of like a Bocchi plush on the ground in the middle of the forest.
Like imagine how much fun like the cast over at CloverWorks were having. Like how much of a field day that they were going. It's like, all right, crew. While Team A is like busy animating like the 12th Bocchi hallucination and fever dream, Team B is gonna rent the camera crew, and they're gonna go out into the city, and they're gonna go out into the forest, and they're gonna take this handmade Bocchi plush, place it under a log, and then film that log.
But yeah, Kita is like, okay, so there has to be no people, so it can't be like alone, cooped up in a stall in the bathroom. She likes hiding under things and inside small cramped spaces. She likes places
Particularly
that are
where
a little...
slugs like to hang out,
Yeah.
points out.
She's likes like very, very, moist, seedy joints or whatever. And and then they finally find Bocchi, and Nishika exclaims, "It was worth looking through dustbins and tanks." And they have like leaves on them and like a stick in her hair.
Yeah, they've like actually looked through dumpsters trying to find her.
I mean, hey, they eventually found her, so I mean,
she does
they
willingly
checked the right places.
of her own volition climbs into trash cans multiple times throughout the show.
Yeah, every time she feels like garbage, she literally crawls into a garbage can.
Oh, what the fuck else is there? So many to pick from. After they leave the nurse's room in the school, Kita's like, by the way, I turned it in. The club application. Yeah, I turned it in. And then Bocchi goes from like a Picasso drawing to the Scream painting, and then like dead, deceased in a coffin. Like, there's just a coffin that is at Starry that she has been placed in, and then Kita's wearing this little cardboard sign, like, labeling her a criminal, and then she's like, no, I don't want to be tried for murder.
Just think about the logic of how that happened. They had a coffin at Starry. Either that or they bought one for Bocchi. Just think about what steps they must have taken to acquire this coffin.
It's a good bit. Every bit in this show is a good bit. Is there a single bad joke in this entire show, or a joke that does not land?
I struggle to think of one.
I cannot think of a time that the show was like did something that that my brain registered as an attempt at humor, and and went like, nope, that wasn't funny at all. I can't think of a one.
Another great bit in at the very end of episode 11, before they're performing, Bocchi, the way they animate her nervousness, is her heart like literally leaping out of her chest, occasionally turning into a real heart.
Yeah.
With like this uncomfortable crunching sound. With every palpitation of her heart, the screen shakes violently.
And then Ryo's like, God damn, this band's drumming is so loud.
Yeah.
Kikuri punches a wall and then like loses $1,000 because of it, which is one of the more tame jokes in this show, which is funny to say when you repeat the phrase, someone punched a wall and like makes a hole in a wall. And that's one of the more tame jokes in this show.
Yeah, it is canon that Kikuri and her band make a load of money, but that most of it goes to fixing all the guitars and walls that Hiroi breaks on a regular basis.
They even have they even got a white girl in the show, so that's how you know it's good. They got one of us.
By the way, I want to see, I'm sure that we'll see more of them, but Hiroi's band seems so chill. So
A spin-off story when.
Yeah. like, unironically, I want to see a story with them because we've got Hiroi, which, as you know, is just amazing. But then we have like this, sort of normal girl with black hair.
The straight man.
Yeah, and she seems like, oh, she's a functioning member of society, unlike, Hiroi. But then there's this blonde chick, and she comes from overseas, and Nijika's like, oh, you must have like this love of J-pop. She's like, nah, I just listen to anime OPs. My dream is to do covers for anime OPs.
I want to be a part of an Anna song cover band.
It's literally it seems like such a fun dynamic. They really,
and that, and with like, their manager who like looks like a scary, intimidating motherfucker, but is actually really kind.
Yeah,
like that's a show in and of itself that could exist if so desired. Like if the author, I forget. I feel like an asshole for forgetting her name. Hold on, I'm gonna rectify this immediately. I think it was like Aki something. I know it's a woman.
I forgot her name too, so you're okay.
Okay, Aki Hamaji, who is also on YouTube, by the way. Her last few YouTube videos have just been, I think, from what I gather, it's just her like playing Gartic Phone with either, I'm assuming, fellow mangakas, and they just do a lot of Bocchi the Rock Gartic Phones, which I do not know enough Japanese or enough of the context of what they're drawing to follow along, but it looks like a fun time is being had by all.
I did not know she had a YouTube. I need to check this out now.
And I hope that what I was saying before is that I hope that like she can do something similar to what Coolkyo does, since it's so weird. This is a very slight tangent that I'll go on. It's so weird that Dragon Maid is such a huge fucking franchise. Because it's like so big that it has like 4 different spin-off mangas, one for each of like the dragon characters. Kana has her own spin-off. Elma has her own spin-off. Lukua and Fafnir have their own spin-offs.
I didn't even know Lukua and Fafnir had them. I knew about the Kana and Elma ones, but I did not know about those two.
Yeah, Kana's is a school slice of life. Elma is a work slice of life. Fafnir is like a nerdy, shut-in gamer slice of life one, and Lukua is fan service. if you liked Lukua sexually harassing Shota in Dragon Maid and you just couldn't get enough of it, boy howdy is there a manga with a Lukua nipple for you.
How many of them are written by Coolkyo? Because I know that
none.
the Elma one is okay.
Yeah, they're all handed to different artists and authors, but they're all given the seal of approval and the stamp of trust by Coolkyo.
Mm-hmm.
But so I hope they do
them out someday.
If it so strikes Miss Hamaji, give someone the sick hack spin-off manga that we all deserve.
I would read it. I would read the hell out of that.
You want to know what the biggest tragedy about Bocchi the Rock is right now, that I guarantee you is like in the works right now to be rectified? There is no official physical release of the manga. No one has like the English rights to it yet. Let me check if that's changed.
That is
since then.
absolute.
I feel like I would have found out by now.
That is
Let's
heresy.
See. Manga. Nope. No one in the West has picked it up yet. Its 5th volume came out as recently as November 2022.
Now you know what it feels like to be a Nisio Isin fan in the West. I'm used to that.
So that's just that's the biggest tragedy to come out of Bocchi the Rock. But back to humor, back to the funny ha-has. Let's see. I think there's only like one more episode of jokes that I think we haven't gone over yet.
I feel like we could literally talk about this forever, but we have to move on eventually, so
We're
I'll
we're on the
try and
last
find...
episode. We're almost done.
Okay.
Once we
We
go
were
over
doing
the
this
jokes, then we can
chronologically,
talk
I didn't
about
even
the.
know.
Once we finish talking about the jokes and go back to talking about the other good shit. The story.
I love Bocchi's incredibly pitiful maid spell with literally like the sound of like slopping liquid in the background, and like it literally animates
fires
like this,
onto the omerice.
yeah, like this blob getting fired onto the omerice, and Nishika and Ryo eat it, and they're like, it tastes a little bleh. And Bocchi's like, yeah, we just got frozen omerice and cooked it. And then Keats is like, no, that's not how you do it. And she puts on like the most adorable little show. And she basically has a full-on magical girl transformation doing this maid spell. And
Motherfucker really
puts
said
it
it's
onto
fua time.
Yeah, and she does the spell, and there's like a bunch of hearts stamped onto it, and Ryo's there in the background with a Pac-Man face.
Yeah,
and
she's
he's eating it up.
Pac-Man.
And Nishika becomes like an expert food critic, giving it a 5-star review.
When
going
it's
like,
literally the same
flavors
food they ate 10 seconds ago.
The flavors just have this beautiful harmony, and like the ketchup goes perfectly with it. It just... it's like this exquisite homemade meal reminds me of me being with my mother. It is the most amazing thing. I made half of that up. She didn't say most of that, but it's to that effect.
I love when Bocchi goes Super Saiyan in front of the like at work when she's like pumped up with the thought of quitting her job. And it's like, oh yeah, now that I have money for that could like last me for 2 years, I'm gonna quit my job, focus all of it on music, and be like, haha, I'm not gonna have to deal with customer service for the next 2 years. Seika, I'm really looking forward to like working with you even more. Did you want?
God,
Did
it's
you? I
such
know
a
your
good
birthday's
scene.
coming up. Would you like a present from the guitar store?
Speaking of the guitar store, I love how... So she doesn't want to get approached by customer service. So she puts on some headphones. This genius scheme in her mind is to put on headphones and then pretend like she is absolutely banging to some heavy metal tunes.
She has put on the Chainsaw Man soundtrack.
Yeah, but then she just keeps on headbanging constantly in the background. And then one of the employees goes up to her and is like, "Are you okay? Is there something wrong, miss?"
I love when Kita is asking about like the like stuff about the guitar store, and Ryo just like slow-mo runs up behind her and then starts like babbling about all sorts of guitar store trivia, and just like she's literally me whenever I have trivia about a subject I like and someone is like curious about it.
This is literally me with Studio Shaft. Ryo twice in this show goes into like this incredible tangent. The other one is when she's asked to explain psychedelic rock, and she just literally basically recounts like a Wikipedia article in exact detail super quickly. So despite being incredibly bad at school and forgetting everything immediately, and despite having the brain of a T-Rex, she, if it's something she's passionate about,
you know what that means,
go
right?
on. She's literally
Ryo
me.
confirmed autism.
Somehow I knew you were gonna say that before the word autism even came out of your mouth.
Yeah, I mean, what? There is no other logical explanation. She is also a bassist, which the show has like explicitly gone out of its way to portray itself as anti-bassist propaganda. Which good.
Let's see.
Buff Nijika.
That was amazing. It flashes on screen for literally less than a second.
And it's so fucking funny and well animated.
Yeah.
It's like, hey guys, like she's like, oh man, as a drummer, I feel like left out. Hey guys, I was kind of thinking, hey, maybe what if I picked up a guitar? And then she's just like fucking jacked, and like they imagine her jacked and just slamming the guitars as drumsticks on the drums. And she's like, fucking never mind.
I would definitely I was scrolling Twitter before we had watched it for the episode, and I saw that I didn't actually watch the clip, but I saw that thumbnail. I was like, I'm in for a good time, aren't I?
And then the last joke that is worth mentioning right now is just the Mach 5 Bocchi. Which, like, now that she's, like, gotten her guitar... Oh, no, she didn't even leave with her guitar. She had left it in the store. Once she's, like, has all paid for it and she thinks the time for human interaction is finally over, she just fucking goes, meow, out the door.
She practically teleports.
She fucking, like, causes a sonic boom.
Very good stuff.
Yeah, this show's a fucking comedic masterpiece. Like, I've compared it to Chowder and Gumball, which is very high praise. Because those are two funny shows.
I haven't seen Chowder, but yeah, Gumball is a fairly apt comparison with its mixed media aesthetic. This is completely random, not even a joke, but I love how... Hold on, I have it specifically in my notes because I wanted to remember the name. The taco sen. This, like, pressed out bit of takoyaki. It's a real life image, or at the very least, rendered in such a different style that it looks like a real life image. I thought that was one of the best examples of the mixed media aesthetic, weirdly enough.
Yeah, and Bocchi just bites into it and be like,
Yeah.
I got to share taco sen with my friends at the beach. What a beautiful summer. Finn, end of episode. Bocchi, we're not done yet. We've got like half the episode left.
I will say, I know, I know you hate this, but I'm gonna say it. Sometimes the real life images as backgrounds, I looked at them and I'm like, is there really a point to this? Does it really gain from having a real life image in the background? And there were many instances of it. But that's a nitpick at the end of the day. It didn't really affect my opinion of the show.
Alright, well, back to the Bocchi cinematic universe and the never-ending story that is the Bocchi the Rock timeline.
The Bocchi iceberg, as it were. So we've gone through all the jokes. I presume what's next is the performances, because we still got 2 more to go through.
Yeah.
So the first one, oh god, I love it so much, because this is basically our introduction to what kind of music Hiroi does. And so we get this exposition, amazing exposition, of what psychedelic rock is, where it's basically music designed to make you feel like you're on a trip, which, with that context, I mean, I haven't taken drugs before. I've been a good boy up until now. I went through the DARE program. I know that you like...
You are now at a higher risk of taking drugs.
I know that drugs are really extra. I forget what the acronym even means. But yeah, I learned all that, but I'm sure this is exactly what taking hallucinogens does to you. I'm sure it's exactly what it feels like. And it's rendered in this amazing, just beautiful colors. These like bright searing pinks and greens and all sorts of bright colors as Kikari is just jamming out. It is a sight to behold.
Yeah, that's fucking sick. I also love how after the performance, when they take the girls backstage and Kikari's giving Bocchi advice, I love how we find out that the reason that she is this alcoholic that she is because she turned herself on to drinking, because she used to be just like Bocchi, a shy, introverted girl who was afraid to perform in front of a crowd. So that's why she was like, okay, maybe if I like get myself a little boozed up, a little inebriated, I'll be like more loose and be able to perform around the crowd. And you know, it's a little sad how it turned into this dependence that she's like almost never seen not sober and almost never seen without a drink of some kind in her hand.
What I love
But
about Bocchi's characterization is that it feels like as you go on, the character, like, you learn more and more about the characters. More running gags get introduced. You learn more about their perspective on the world. And that's like a great example of it. Hiroi being a loner in her high school days and using alcohol as a dependence in that way. Whereas other lesser shows, at least in my opinion, will just have a character, set them up, and then keep them the same, just the exact same throughout the entire show without you ever learning more about them. And while in some cases that's okay, like Nichijou, if the character interactions are just that good, but yeah, I think it's generally better where a character, as you spend more time with them, you learn more about them and feel like you get brought to a greater understanding. And this show does that. I feel like I'm a lot closer to Ryo and Kita than I was at the beginning of their introduction. Whereas with some other shows that I've seen recently, it didn't really feel that way. So that's why I really love the characterization in Bocchi the Rock.
Speaking of Kita, I can't believe I forgot to mention this. The reveal of her name is fucking hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Her last name is Ikuyo, which means her full name, Kita Ikuyo, literally means I'm here, let's go.
It is very accurate, I will say, to her character.
My full name is
It's
Kita
very
Kita.
well fitting.
I've never heard of Ikuyo in my life.
I love how Kito literally just becomes Bocchi for a scene. Just spaces out on the floor like, I am Kita, don't say that name. That name is dead to me. Oh, wow, I can't believe Ryo's so evil so as to dead name Kita. Can you believe that? You should cancel Ryo.
Cancel her, make sure that bitch will never eat in this country again. Never eat in this town again.
Bro, we're gonna keep her eating weeds for the rest of her life.
I don't know. I feel like the weeds make her stronger.
True. Yeah, so maybe we take out the weeds too. Let's keep her at just the roots.
Let's just kill her.
Fair.
Like what is to be lost? No, what thing of value will be lost after from the
my
end result
wife.
Of this? Hiroi exists. There's a better wife in the show.
I mean, on the one hand, yes, but on the other hand, she'd punch all the walls.
Imagine
my house would crumble around me.
Yeah, imagine that kind of strength, but on your balls.
I mean, I can't argue with that logic.
See, it's not now you're making sense of it.
Episode 12.
Yeah, it all comes to a head in the big final performance. Oh wait, we forgot one more joke.
We keep on forgetting jokes.
This one's
all good.
Relevant to us. This one's especially relevant to us. Bocchi, just like all YouTubers, is presumed dead by her fans when she doesn't upload in a while.
Now this is when she became literally me.
Cause can't possibly relate to that. What was that, Crunchy? A 2-year streak of not uploading? Did you get any?
In my defense,
did Crunchy just die?
In my
comments?
defense, it was. Actually, I did get one of them. I got a single Crunchy did you die comment, and I just randomly remembered this. I did like a parody Twitter account many years back about a YouTuber named Werwin, and I stopped posting there because I got bored of coming up with very unfunny jokes all the time. And I got plenty of "Are you dead?" comments on the Twitter account after like a few months of not posting. Although in that case, I really was dead. I retired the account. But that's beside the point.
Yeah, so they get Bocchi back. They go onto the stage for the cultural festival performance, but disaster strikes. Bocchi's guitar string broke. What is to be done? She's got to play her solo, but she can't play her solo without her E string. You know she can't play without a guitar string.
Yeah, so this entire time the show has been building up this guitar solo that Bocchi is gonna do. But in continuing the trend of concerts never going perfectly and instead having these little mess ups all the time, Bocchi's guitar, it was having a few issues, and she notes like during the concert, like, oh, it's starting to get out of tune. Oh no, what to do? And so then bam, it breaks. And it isn't even the one string, it is two separate strings, because it's something with like the little turny bits. I don't know the official term, but the turny bits
I
at the
think
top
they're
of
called
the
pegs.
guitar. Pegs, yeah. So the pegs of the guitar have messed up. So one string is just outright broken off the thing. The other one is like too taut or something like that. And so it can't be played properly. And Bocchi's like, what to do? But during the solo that Bocchi was supposed to have, Kita, the absolute mad lad, just goes in there, improvs a solo off the cuff on her bass guitar. And I'm like, I clapped there. I just straight up clapped. And then Bocchi gets back up to finish off the song by literally taking a bottle off the stage and then using that to like I forget exactly what it's called. It's like
the term
running it across the string.
Yeah, I think the term used is called bottlenecking.
I don't think it was bottlenecking.
At least in
I'm
my
trying to remember
subtitles
what
it was.
It might be called different things depending on what subs you have, but that's beside the point. She improvises, adapts, and overcomes, and uses the bottle to finish off the song. And they were going to do a third song, but obviously with Bocchi's guitar the way it is.
And well, they could have had time to just like take an intermission, fix the guitar, and be like, but before they could do that, they were like, the crowd's getting all into it. They're loving the song, they're loving the band, everyone's having a good time. Even Bocchi's parents and sister are there. They're all loving it. Everyone's having a good old time, and Kita's and Nijika are saying some words in front of the crowd, getting them all hyped up. And then Kita's like, and now a few words from our guitarist, Hitori Goto. Why don't you say some words to the crowd? And Bocchi's like, what, Kita, what the fuck are you doing? You can't put an introvert on the spot in front of a crowd without a script. And so she's like panicking. Fuck, think of something funny. Think of something cool. Think of something funny. Think of something cool. Think of something funny. Think of something cool. And then she's like, wait a second. Guitarists and like band members are supposed to be like cool and spontaneous, and so she puts down her guitar, runs out off the stage, and jumps into the crowd to attempt to crowd surf. And no one catches her. They all back away, and she just fucking belly flops onto the gym floor.
Imagine how it looks to an outside observer. This introverted classmate you've seen that doesn't talk to anyone is put on the spot to talk, and she jumps off the stage.
Have you ever heard or seen the movie School of Rock before?
I have not.
Okay, it's an old I think it was.
I'm looking it up right now.
It's a Jack Black movie. Miranda Cosgrove was in it. I think it's like. Might be under the Nickelodeon umbrella. I'm not sure. It might just be Paramount. But at the very like beginning of the movie, Jack Black is like he's in a band and he's like playing guitar in a band, and he tries to, literally the exact same scene happens, but instead of like being put on the spot to try to like say something to the crowd, he just belly flops just because, but no one catches him and he just eats shit.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. Yeah, Vlusky was showing me that picture right after the final episode aired, and he was like super hype about it. And the caption he put was like, warning, don't attempt to crowd surf if you have no fans.
Well, it's okay. We have at minimum 109 fans right now, so that should be enough to carry both of us if we got them all in one hypothetical room together.
Honestly, I'm such a manlet. It'd probably only take half of an audience member to carry me.
What if your audience is like primarily children?
Okay, well then it'd take maybe one of them. Maybe an 8-year-old. Yeah, that seems about right.
A pretty strong 8-year-old.
Yeah,
like eating his broccoli, eating his spinach.
And with that, do we have much more to say?
There's just one more thing story-wise to say. Bocchi like is going out to get her new guitar, and she's like, "Oh man, like I've been playing my dad's guitar for so long, but but then her dad's like, you know what? Like that guitar's cool enough, but I feel like it's about time you like find a guitar that like speaks to you to get your own personal guitar that you paid for with your money." And she's like, "I don't got that kind of money." And her dad's like, "The hell you don't!" Pulls out fucking what was it, like 300,000 yen? Was it
Something like that.
300,000, like
Around
maybe like in the
that.
millions?
Within
I'm
that
not
ballpark.
sure.
No, it was 100,000 definitely, but I'm
And
not sure
I
exactly
saw a
how
bunch of
much.
100,000 bills, or like maybe there were 10,000 bills. I don't know. I have the image. I don't know why I'm like fucking rambling about it.
Actually,
When I
yeah.
could just... Okay, yeah, there are 10,000 bills. I'm looking at the fucking hilarious face Bocchi makes in response to it, just being like,
I'm rich now, and that's what causes her to think she can quit her job.
yeah, she didn't realize, like, Bocchi, the fucking YouTube noob that she is, did not realize that even though she had 30,000 subs, she never once thought to turn on ad revenue. She never got in on that YouTube partner program to start making that YouTube ad revenue money. So because she was logged on to her family's YouTube like shared family account, her dad turned on ad revenue when she crossed the threshold in secrecy and gave her all of the ad revenue money that they banked. And
Does Bocchi in this moment is us in the future? This is your
hopefully.
call to subscribe. Do that now. Make us that rich.
Yeah, that is the most unrealistic part of this whole show. That Bocchi actually gets money from her ad revenue, completely unrelatable. But if you want to make it a relatable moment to us, fellas, audience, fellow Bocchi the Rock enthusiasts, I think we've earned your sub by this point. We've talked about Bocchi the Rock for what will be a combined total of. Let's see, we talked about for like an hour on the fall cast, 2 hours I think in the first Bocchi cast. So that's like what, 5 hours, just about 5 hours of Bocchi. That's worth.
That's as long as the show.
um. So yeah, Bocchi gets the guitar. Continues to go on working, going to school, playing in her band, and that's how the show ends. Season fucking 2 when, CloverWorks. I know I'm being a greedy little piggy here because I was clamoring for Dress Up Darling Season 2, and you gave it to me even though you weren't going to at first, but then Fan Outcry was like, bro, you got to. If Fan Outcry was like vocal for Dress Up Darling, I can only imagine that Japanese and American Bocchi bros alike, brochies, if I may, are just screaming, banging on the door of CloverWorks HQ, being like, when is season 2?
I mean, it's difficult to imagine them not making it. It's not as much of a done deal as something like Chainsaw Man, but I imagine it'll probably get one, considering just how much of a surprise success it was. And if they do, I'm sure they'll get back the same directors, because I mean, that's a lot of the reason why the show got so as big as it was, even though the script is also amazing.
Let me see if I can't quick check what the anime is caught up to.
It's around halfway through the manga, so there's enough content. I know at the very least that there's enough content for a season 2 in terms of chapters.
Let me
Although it
confirm
would
real
like
quick.
catch right up to the manga, if I recall correctly. If they did a season 2, we would be like right at where the manga is currently at.
Yeah, because there's only 5 volumes right now. Let's see. Oh man, as far as like translated chapters too, I think we're only up to volume 3.
Yeah, I've heard some of my friends who are even bigger fans of Bocchi than I complain about how the volume translations are so slow.
Okay, so I'm looking at bits and pieces of volume 3 right now. We have not gotten to volume 3, so the show has probably only gone through the first 2 volumes. there might be enough story for a season 2 now, but
Yeah.
they're probably gonna
There
wait
definitely
for
is,
their
but
more. It might be a little too soon for a season 2, but if we can get an announcement like sometime, you know what, like the 1 year anniversary of Bocchi, or if there's gonna be like a similar situation with how Dress Up Darling got in season 2, where they had like the big fest for it, and they just announced it at that fest for that celebration. Maybe maybe a season 2 will be in the cards by then. I would love to see more. This is a masterpiece. I can't give it any less than a 10.
I currently have it at an 8, but I feel like if I rewatch it, which I'll almost certainly do within the next 2 years, I feel like when I do that, it'll probably go up to a 9. Like, I can't imagine it not doing that.
This is the first anime since first original, well, like new anime, not counting sequels. First new anime since Eizouken that I'd be willing to give it a 10 out of 10 to. So when I say this is the best new anime since Eizouken, that is a high bar coming from me, and it is on that level. Maybe not so much in like the idea of being an artist and being a creator, but like the social aspect of it more so than is what Bocchi is about, more so than like the technical aspect.
There's one more thing I want to say before we go, which is that I read the manga authors. She did this little write-up about how happy she was about the anime once it ended, and she apparently, based mangaka, had very high, let's say she didn't want a Shitterton adaptation, like your typical light novel, or a Tomo-chan, to use a current example. She wanted
man, we haven't
something
even
like
seen
very
it yet.
creative and out there. I mean, yeah, but I don't know, the sirens are flashing here. For something I've seen, like a Tomazaki, there we go. That I've seen plenty of. And she did not want that kind of adaptation. And so she was, telling the anime staff about how, hey, don't mess this up, right?
If you mess
well,
this up,
so
I'll fucking kill you.
And she was like, I know I was very demanding and like had very high expectations, but you killed it, man. You understood the source material even better than I did, and you knocked it out of the park. And she was like very thankful. There's literally like multiple breaks in the message where she just says like thank you over and over again with more and more exclamation points each time. I
That's
really
adorable.
resonated with that. Yeah, it
Bro,
was a very fun read.
We've definitely said something along this nature on the podcast before. I just forget exactly where it was, but like, imagine being Miss Aki Hamaji and your manga that may not have been super popular when the before the anime came out gets this fucking stellar one in a fucking a thousand, what, maybe even 1 in a million level adaptation of like care and uniqueness and flair, creative visual flair to it. And so many outside people who are like, what the fuck is a Bocchi Rock? Like, is that like a Dwayne Johnson thing? Is that like a Japanese Dwayne the Rock Johnson? And then they watch it and they're like, whoa, this is really fucking good. And now Bocchi the Rock is one of my favorite things ever. And you got all these people from not just your home country, but people all over the world praising it. And now you've got like this big fan favorite beloved IP on your hands. And you're like, I made that. And people are reading it, and people are watching it, and people are making fan art of it. So much fucking fan art, dude. Holy shit. I've never seen a show pick up in fan art like that. That wasn't like predestined to have it, like a Shonen Jump property, like Chainsaw Man, Jujutsu Kaisen, that kind of shit. No, fucking Bocchi the goddamn Rock. Like even when Eizouken was coming out, it wasn't getting fan art to like this degree of quality and quantity.
Someday I will write a story that can get an adaptation. I can go through that. Except it'll probably get a Tomozaki tier one, and then I'll have crippling depression. But you know,
you can watch Girlish Number and then relate to the guy whose work is getting adapted into a shitty light novel anime.
That's gonna be me in the future, and I cannot wait. And with that, I feel like we've said all we can about Bocchi.
Yeah,
as we've said, we've talked about it as long as the show is. So
so if you have, for whatever reason, you have not watched it, get the fuck on it immediately. It is probably the best anime to come out in 2022. It might just be anime of the year.
I mean, I'd debate that, but I also, you know, if you told me Bocchi was your anime of the year, I wouldn't be like, huh, or like raising an eyebrow or anything. I'd be like, yeah, that tracks. It's definitely the best directed anime this year, and it is definitely the best adaptation that I've seen this year. Where even shows I liked more, I wouldn't say they're as good of adaptations. Like Spy Family, that's a good adaptation, but that's not like a god tier adaptation. Call of the Night, okay, that's a pretty great adaptation, but that is still not a god tier adaptation. Chainsaw Man, now that's like a really, really, really great adaptation. But it is not a god tier adaptation like this is.
No, this is the Dragon Maid effect. We brought it full circle, baby. We're talking about Dragon Maid again. Where it's like the original is like so good on its own, but now that the anime is like so creative and unique, it almost makes the manga like inferior to go back to by comparison.
Yeah, I definitely get where you're coming from with that comparison.
Yeah, not to put down the manga, but just like,
I mean, obviously for the anime to even be this good, it has to have a at least pretty good source material, unless they're just inventing jokes, which they are not. The manga still has a very, I imagine, the same cynical tone and same level of absurdity.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think that will just about do her for this episode of the Castaway Anime Podcast. If y'all enjoyed it, head on down to the comments. What do you agree that Bocchi is anime of the year, or do you think it is overrated? Tell us how right and or wrong you are in the comments, depending on your opinion. We will judge it accordingly. Like the podcast, like the video, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to Crunchy's channel in the description, because get him to help us reach his goal of getting 1,000 subs before the end of January, which you are definitely going to reach at this rate.
Wait, that wasn't my goal. It was before April. You made that goal for me.
Yeah, I made that goal for you because I made it more realistic. Because let's be honest, at the rate you're going, you're gonna hit 1,000 before the end of the month.
If I can pump out all 3 video ideas I have in the month of January, then sure, yeah.
Low key, honestly, all you just need is 2 bangers. Like, they don't have to be called the Night Monogatari level bangers. They just gotta be, contemporary,
Yatsura level
recent
bangers.
Yeah, and they just gotta touch on recent stuff, and they gotta be eye catching enough.
I mean, I've got the DIY video, so hopefully that'll cover it.
And with that brings us to a close of the first episode of Castaway Anime of the new year. We've got some exciting plans for the podcast in the hopefully soon future, depending on when the contacts get back to us. So look forward to that. Get excited. Big things coming for the podcast. Big things coming for this channel. Maybe big things coming for Crunchy's channel as well, depending on how soon he hits 1,000 subs. Big things going all around, so get in on the ground floor while you can, fellas.
Remember to know us while we're still a small channel, so that when we blow up, you can say, I was there before he hit 1,000 subs.
And I liked him.
You can
before
be that
and
pretentious
I liked
asshole.
his content before he went. He got to 1 million and became mainstream. Then we will have
his
fully
content before he sold his soul to his sponsors.
Then we will have fully become Trash Taste.
And with that,
Please
we've
invite me
made
on the
5
podcast.
outros for this video, but Yeah, you know
All
what?
right, yeah, that's yeah.
We just don't want to
end her
stop
off
talking
here.
about Bocchi.
Nah, please, season 2. And with that final request, oh CloverWorks, One-sama, that is going to be the end of the podcast. I'm Neon Manta.
And I'm Fluffy Dumpling.
God damn.
I
And
was
you'll see us-
I was searching real hard for that one, man.
You'll see us next time.
Salutations.